Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. And a few months back we did a special comparison between the original Combaticon group and their combined form of Bruticus, along with a new one from the Generations Armada era, known as Ruination, which was basically a recolor of Bruticus and the Combaticons. Well, thanks to the in-depth research done by my brother, Cyclonus150, he has found another set of Ruination and Bruticus lookalikes. So here we have the Generations Fall of Cybertron series, and we're going to take a look at the Wreckers and the Combaticons. First up in our grudge match would be their leaders. For the Autobots, we have Impactor. And for the Decepticons, we have Onslaught. And as you can see, the two toys are relatively the same in robot mode. They each have a different accessory. So once again, it applies to the Hasbro cheapness. But this was about the time when they were starting to devise different ways that the giant robot's limbs would be configured. So, by having both toys, we'll get to see in the end the different ways that each one can be built. So that'll be a nice fair treat. But first, we got to get to that point. We're not there yet. We're just getting started. Let's take a look at these guys individually and see what we've got. Okay, first up we have Impactor. Obviously the leader of the Wreckers. And he's the only one in the group that will not have a Generation 1 counterpart, as Impactor here was created after the G1 lineup. Impactor did, however, recently get a Siege toy, which would probably be inspired by a potential G1 alternate form. And in that version, he became a tank. This time around, he's going to be some form of missile carrier to match Onslaught. Anyway, let's remove his weapon here so we can get a better look at him. And of course, this is done in kind of the strange style that they did things for the Generations line. Fall of Cybertron line was always a bit strange, but it was done naturally as a tie-in to the video game of the same name, which, if I remember correctly, also gave us the ability to play as Bruticus. So giving us another guy that they could do cheaply, well, that's just icing on the cake. At least in Hasbro's terms. Whether or not people bought them, that's hard to say. I've seen playthroughs for the Cybertron games, and I know for a fact that Ruination did not appear in it. So his tie-in is kind of wasted, kind of wasted potential, but if you are a fan of the Autobot team known as the Wreckers, well, this is kind of a nice thing to have. Let's take a look at his articulation. Let's see, you can turn the head from side to side, and it can look up and down. It's on a ball joint. We can rotate his arms at the shoulder about so far. The arms can raise up to the side about so far. And he does look to have elbow articulation. Yes, he does. It ratchets. This is also brand new, folks, so I'm trying to be very gentle with it. Let's see, does he have the swivel? Yes, he's got the swivel, so he can do the G.I. Joe battle grip. His legs can separate out, and he can do full splits. We can raise the leg at the hip at 90 degrees and bend at the knee 90 degrees, so he's got all the modern articulation for a Transformer, which would put him a few steps above his old G1 counterparts. Now, of course, let's take a look at his weapon here. Impactor's weapon is done up as a missile, as a large missile launcher of some sort. But unlike the one that came with Onslaught, he can fire it. There we go. Maybe one of these days I'm going to have to get myself a target. I'm going to get myself a target one of these days. If we start reviewing more modern Transformers and they keep shooting, we might have to look into a target. Anyway, take a look here at the missile. It only has 3 fins on it instead of the 4 you would traditionally expect. So I guess I had it loaded in sideways. My mistake. At any rate, we got a missile, and the launcher itself separates into 2 pieces. Here's the actual launcher itself. And it apparently does have a post here, so you can go with dual weapon style on Impactor if you so choose. And the last piece would be a double-barreled launcher, which is a very similar weapon to what Onslaught comes with. Let's see. Why don't we try this with the dual weapons? You know, why don't we try it just for giggles, folks? Let's try this for giggles. Let's see how it looks. I mean, we've seen him standing here with holding them as 1. How does he look holding 2? Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad, actually. I think I kind of prefer this. But that's just one man's opinion. Thankfully, since, like I said, Cyclonus bought these brand spanking new, so we also have the card. So we can at least give you some ideas as to what we got here with Impactor. Says here, Impactor never hesitates to volunteer his team for the riskiest missions. It's not that he loves danger. He'd rather see every soldier under his command safe. But he knows that his team is the best the Autobots have. When a mission absolutely must succeed, the Autobots know they can count on Impactor and his team to get it done. Get her done, folks. And then, of course, down here in the corner, we have some tech specs. It says his strength is 10, his intelligence is 8, his speed is 4, his endurance and rank are both 9, his courage is 10, his fire blast is 9, and his skill is 5, so he's probably not as effective of a leader as this bio seems to make it out to be. What probably helps with the Wreckers is the fact that they are a very serious and dedicated team. Now, before we transform Impactor, let's take a look at Onslaught. Since they both become the same vehicle mode, we'll just look at that together. Now here we have Onslaught. And he looks nothing like his G1 form, but of course his G1 form was intended to be a real missile flatbed truck. Whereas now we're dealing with the version on Cybertron before he came to Earth. Since he's the same toy as Impactor, he has the same articulation everywhere, so we won't waste time with that. There's no need to bore you all to death. But we will let you see his accessory. This is his missile launcher. It's the same as the base of Impactor's weapon, but it's done up in this green color. So unfortunately, Onslaught only gets one gun instead of his Autobot counterpart. As we said earlier, we got the card. Take a look at that here. And for Onslaught's bio, it states, Onslaught believes precision and planning are the keys to success. He spends hours devising battle plans, considering contingencies, and deliberating troop disposition before ever committing his forces to battle. Once the fight is joined, however, no robot is a fiercer fighter. Now this again plays a nice homage to the G1 toy, as the Generation 1 version of Onslaught was a brilliant tactician and strategist. So it's nice to see that that carries over into this form. And of course, we'll take a look here at his vitals. It gives his strength as 7, his strength is 8, his intelligence is 9, his speed is 4, his endurance is 8, his rank is 9, his courage is 10, his fire blast is 7, and his skill is 9. So, out of the two, Onslaught here is definitely the better leader of the teams. Now, let's flip him into his alternate mode, and let's compare how their alternate modes look. And here we are, folks. Both of them are in their alternate modes. They are both intended to be missile carriers of Cybertronian design. And they both look kind of weird, to be honest with you folks. These look a little weird. But since they're not intended to resemble real ones, I guess that's how Hasbro and company can get away with it. Another real downside is that since the missile launchers are mounted via posts on the arms of the robots, it doesn't allow the guns to rotate, so they can only fire in front of them. And how do their wheels roll? Well, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure how well they'll roll. But we're going to find out. Yeah, we'll have Onslaught roll, since he's kind of gotten the short end of things here. And you saw the gun popped off pretty easy, so we'll just roll him without it. Fair. He rolled fair on here. Getting the missile launchers to line up on those arms is not easy. As for their appearances, well, Onslaught kind of resembles his Generation 1 version. The green's a little too bright, but the blue is about spot on for how he was in his G1 form, so that's a nice homage to the original toy. Impactor, well, let's say I'm less impressed with the bright orange and the blue trim in the wheels. He kind of looks like he escaped from Tron. So, all in all, I'm not as impressed with Impactor as I am with Onslaught. But I think both of them could have been seriously reworked a little better. But if we had to go for a pick on this one, I definitely would go with Onslaught. Since Onslaught was a G1 character, and they did apply the most homages to him in that. So, Definitely, I'd say in this fight, Onslaught is the clear winner this round. But let me know what you guys think. Sound out in the comments what you think of these two. Anyway, that concludes round 1 of our Combaticon Wrecker Month, with us looking at Impactor and Onslaught. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you like the video, drop me a thumbs up on YouTube. New to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below so you can join our ranks. And ring the bell so you'll be notified when we post new content. And like we stated earlier, share this video with your friends and fellow collectors, and share your thoughts about these two in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.